Hello everyone and welcome to a Knit California vlog. My name is Leslie. I am Knit California here on YouTube and also over on Instagram, and today we're doing something a little bit different. Today is Friday, June 30th. Tomorrow will be July 1st. That's how the calendar works, in case you didn't know. And I am going on a camping trip at the end of July. Let me pull up the calendar really fast. We are leaving on July 22nd. So in 22 days, we're leaving for like a week-long camping trip. Now I say camping, typically we've camped, but this year we're actually staying in like a cabin and then like spending all day at the lake, but coming home to a cabin. So it's kind of like fake camping, but I'm still calling it a camping trip. Anyways, I have come up with the idea that I would like to knit a couple things to take with me on this camping trip. The pup is not going to be joining us on the camping trip. She's going to be staying here with some family. It's going to be taking care of them. But I figured that I would take you along with me as I work to knit up what I'm planning to knit up for this camping trip, and then take you along with me on the camping trip so you can see me wearing what I knit up, and I thought it would be really fun. So this is a completely new style of video for me. I've never like really vlogged before. I did a little vlog for the San Diego yarn crawl last year. But I'm hoping that this will be a little bit different. It'll be kind of fun, but just bear with me if the first couple of these types of videos are if the first couple types of these videos are like complete trash, just bear with me. I'm sure I'll get the hang of it eventually. But let me talk you through what I'm thinking of knitting up. So it's only two things. We've only got like 22 days to do this. So this is, let's see what the zoom is like on this thing. Oh yeah, you're currently sitting inside my yarn cubbies because I got a whole new camera and setup and everything. So I know the background is kind of trash, but we're just gonna make this work. So I can't zoom in because you're in the dark, but that's okay. Anyways, okay, this yarn is Terrapin Fiberworks Deer Creek Fingering, which is 60% organic cotton and 40% linen, and the colorway is called Heart's Core. So I've got two skeins of this. It's 386 yards per 100 grams. So what is that? A little bit over 700 yards. I really want to make a tank top with this. Specifically, I'm thinking of the Ingrid top. Let me see. It's by Gregoria Fibers. I'm actually going to swatch for this today, right now. I have something else that I would like to make for this camping trip, but I haven't fully figured out yarn, pattern, and how it's going to work. So I will talk you through more of that a little bit later. But we are going to wind this up and start swatching. Now I have seen a couple people make this top before, and I've heard just from like watching them make this that you really want to make sure your gauge is right, or if your gauge is off, that you're picking the right size. Basically, if you pick a size that's too big, you'll get like weird gaps in the underarms. Amanda from Knits by Mandy she didn't just make this, but she just like fixed an issue with hers that she had made last summer. And since this yarn is cotton linen, and the yarn that's recommended is a cotton linen silk blend. It's slightly different, although I'm sure the properties are actually pretty similar. But I definitely want to swatch to make sure I'm getting close to gauge, or I can figure out the right size to make. And also to kind of see what the fabric is going to be like. Now the other piece, and I guess why I picked this top to bring with me on the camping trip, is first of all, I think just having a tank top will be really nice to throw on over my bathing suit when we go down to the lake. This would be nice to wear out to like dinner, or if we're going like shopping in town or something. And I like the eyelets. I think they're super cute. They're gonna be like airy and breathable if it gets hot at all. Although I know we'll be like on the lake, so there'll probably be like a little bit of a breeze that'll come through. And I just think this is gonna be like the perfect little top to wear with jean shorts or whatever. So that's what we're going to do. So come along with me as we turn these two skeins of lovely yarn from Terrapin Fiberworks into a tank top. This yarn up, it like shed little fibers all over my cabinets, so I'm gonna have to go vacuum that. So, I need to think about what I want to do. Do you hear the pups? Hey pups, stop. The recommended gauge for this pattern is little puff is 20 stitches by 35 rounds on 3.5 millimeter needles. So when I knit with wool, superwash or non-superwash, I'm a tight knitter, so typically I go up a needle size. However, this is cotton linen blend. So, and the stitch pattern, so the gauge is like in the stitch pattern, which is this eyelet yoke pattern. So I guess I really should do a swatch in the 3.5 millimeter needle size just to see what it is. And then if I need to go up to 4 millimeter needles from there, I will. But it specifically says in the pattern here, gauge is crucial for this project. Please make sure you achieve gauge by changing needle size if necessary. So if you've been watching my videos for a while, also you may know that like I typically have trouble meeting gauge, and so I'm really gonna try to meet gauge. And if I can't meet gauge after I do 2 swatches, because I really don't like swatching, I will do some knitting math to figure out what size I should make from one of my 2 needle sizes and gauge swatches. So I started my little notebook page for it. I typically start with like the gauge and the size I'm gonna make and what needle I'm using, what yarn I'm using. Oh, I should have written the yarn that I'm using, just so I remember that. And let's go, we're ready. Every time I sit here, this one comes and joins me on my lap. It's pretty sweet though, huh? So as I'm pulling up my needle case, I just wanted to let you know, if it's still July 2023 when you're watching this video, oh my gosh. Hey bud. Wait. Lay down. Okay, good boy. Okay, good boy. Buddy would like to tell you that if it's still July 2023 when you're watching this video, I have a 10% discount code to Mood Living. This is the Stockholm needle case. Let me turn you around and show you. This is the Stockholm needle case, and I actually got this as a gift for Christmas a couple years ago. But I just this year finally transferred all of my needle tips in here. I use the ChowGoo interchangeable needle tips, but I really like this case. It's really, you know, nice, good quality leather. It fits almost all of my tips in here. I decided not to transfer some of the larger sizes up past 6.5 millimeter needles just because I don't use them very often. It's got all the cords in here. So anyways, I have a 10% off discount code that I will include on the bottom of the screen here. If you're interested in any of Mood Living products, so needle case or any of their bags, they have amazing stuff. So anyways, back to swatching. What did we say? We are looking at 3.5 millimeter needles. Oof. Ooh. My 3.5 millimeter needles are on my Oslo hat right now. So maybe I'll start actually then with the 4s and see how far off I am. And I may need to order a second pair of 3.5 millimeter tips. And I would say sorry for all the dog noises, but it's gonna be a staple of these videos, I think. So I'm just gonna have to get used to it. Right around this time, it's like 4 o'clock. They start to think that it's dinner time, even though it's only 4 o'clock. And this is when they start to get their energy back after their day-long naps. So let's see, I gotta figure out what this stitch pattern actually is. And it does say to knit the swatch in the round, but like half of the top is knit flat and then the other half is knit in the round, so I never know. Like, I'm probably just gonna knit it flat because like it's way easier when I'm swatching. Alright. I just want to make sure I work like a big enough swatch so that I can actually get like a decent understanding of how the fabric is going to behave. Lip up. Hey. Stop. I think sometimes I don't knit like a big enough swatch, and then my like actual garment gauge is different than swatch gauge, which is always very frustrating. So we're gonna go a little bit bigger probably than what we need to. The other thing with like cotton linen yarns. I haven't knit with very many cotton linen yarn bases, blends, or like straight one of the fibers. But it is such a different knitting experience compared to knitting with wool, whether it's superwash wool, non-superwash wool, or even like acrylic. I feel like acrylic more follows the knitting experience closer to wool than like any of these plant fibers. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but oh yeah, I'm worried that I'm literally just casting on and I'm already worried that the 4mm needle is like not gonna be the right size. That's why we're doing this, right? 40. What was the gauge? The gauge is 20 stitches. All right, so I just cast on 40. So we'll see if this should be a good size. Oh, I think what I was trying to say is like, I don't think my gauge is like as tight in these like cotton linen blend yarns as it is with a wool yarn. Obviously like wool has more stretch and elasticity, so I think when I'm knitting it, like I pull tighter, relatively speaking, than like most people if they're not as tight of a knitter. So I don't know, I guess I'm still just trying to figure out gauge and tension, especially with these blend yarns. So I just had a realization that the yarn that's used in the pattern is more of a DK weight yarn, and the yarn that I have is definitely more of a fingering / sport weight yarn. So what are you doing, Ricky? I'm a little annoyed, and I'm looking over at my yarn stash. I guess we should come back over here. I don't think I have any like DK weight summer yarns. I think they're all fingering weight. I guess I have this cotton. Let's see. Oh. Rocky, stop. Stop. This is oh my gosh, Rocky, no. It's trying to eat my yarn. Yeah, this is all, ooh, why was I zoomed in so much? So this is all fingering weight. Okay, so basically we're just gonna have to do some knitting math then for my gauge. I like the fabric that it's making with the 4mm needles. It's definitely gonna be a little bit like airy. Oh, I didn't even finish this row, but let me show you. So I'm like not very far, but yeah, it'll be nice. So we're definitely gonna have to do some knitting math, and I think it'll be okay. Well, I can't stand that way because of the windows. I think it'll be okay, and if it's not, then I'll take you along for the ride, and maybe this will turn out a total flop, but we'll see. I'm gonna go feed the dogs and continue working on this downstairs while we watch more TV. Okay, so, oh, I think I keep pushing the zoom button on accident. Okay, so the swatch is done, and I need to block it. And I'm just getting more and more worried that my gauge is definitely going to be off, and I'm definitely going to have to do some math. But I have a thought. So I have been like considering, not even for this project, like I wasn't considering it for this project at all, but I have been considering trying my hand at like pattern grading, just to see if I can do it. Like, I'm pretty good at like math and with spreadsheets, so I think I can figure it out like pretty much on my own, and with using some like resources that I find on YouTube or on like pattern grading, maybe like tech editor blogs and stuff like that. And now that I'm realizing that this is going to be a very different gauge than it's supposed to be, and that gauge is very important, especially row gauge. So I have another friend, Haley, at Knit Weekend, who has made this top before. I just posted on Instagram that I was making this, and I also posted saying that I think my gauge is going to be off, and she like immediately messaged me and was like, gauge is really important for this project, so just be careful, and if you have questions, let me know. She said that she even like wants to go back and make some edits to her top, and she said that it stretches a lot like lengthwise as you're wearing the top, which I can see that. Like the eyelets I'm sure stretch out like gravity wise with gravity as you're wearing it. So what I'm thinking is I really just want to make sure that I like the fabric that this is making, which I do, although I do think it is kind of like see-through. I don't know, like honestly I probably should go down a needle size, but if it's gonna be more as like a cover-up style tank, then maybe that doesn't really matter. But after the camping trip, I don't know, like maybe I do want the gauge to be a little bit tighter. I really probably should swatch again, but I don't know if I will. I might just use this as my gauge and go forward. But anyways, yeah, I'm thinking about trying to figure out the math for this. Basically, my thought is I would like scour the pattern, and there isn't a schematic, which is annoying, but I can figure out the lengths and like the widths of each of the sections. I realized too that like it wants you to have basically neutral ease at the bust, so 0 positive ease, 0 inches of positive ease, and like it doesn't have my bust size. So one of the sizes is 39 inches, the next is like 42, so I really would be in between that size 5 and 6 anyways. So I think I'm gonna do some math, maybe make a little spreadsheet, try and figure out stitch counts and measurements for myself, and really just see how it goes. So I'm gonna go block this, and I'll wait for it to dry until tomorrow, and then do all of that and keep going. Hello, please excuse this. But as I'm actually blocking my swatch right now, but I'm considering just going to my yarn store tomorrow and picking up Sandisgar and Line. Since it's it's not like the first recommended yarn, it's the second recommended yarn, but like it would make it so much easier to just like, oh, don't do that. It would make it so much easier to have the right yarn, you know? So I'm gonna sleep on it. I'm gonna think about it a little bit more. I'm gonna see what my gauge ends up being tomorrow. And if I'm not into the whole math and figuring it out, I might just make a run down to San Diego, spend like 2 or 3 hours just going to get some yarn and then coming back and doing another swatch. So we'll see. Stay tuned. I'm gonna sleep on it. Good night. My swatch is done drying. So I decided it is, let's see, excuse this, I just woke up. It's like almost 7 a.m. on Saturday, July 1st. And I'm gonna attempt to do some gauge math here. And if I'm not happy with it, then I might order some Sandnes Garn Line or pick a new pattern. So I'm always the most productive in the morning, like right when I wake up. That's when I have like the most motivation to do anything hard. So I'm gonna try and get some of this done right now. My gauge isn't that far off. It's 1 row off, which people were saying that row gauge is like almost more important than stitch gauge. So it's very interesting, I think. I think I can do this math. Just a little worried though that it's gonna be difficult. I don't know, let's see. I've never done any sort of pattern grading before, but I think I said this. I'm pretty good at like math and spreadsheets. So I think I can figure it out and we're gonna give it a go. Okay, so I've done some math and I made a little drawing. And it looks like the rows, like the number of rows that you knit for like each of the little sections is the same for every size, which is interesting, but helpful in this case because my row gauge is actually very, very close to what's recommended in the pattern. And I'm like doing the math and it's like, you know, half a stitch difference, which I don't really think is gonna matter all that much in the end. And then I also calculated my stitch gauge because that is very different. So the size that I should be making if I was using the same yarn and had the same gauge is somewhere in between size 5 and 6. Yeah, it's like in between size 5 and 6, but my stitch count, my stitch gauge is closest to the size 7. It's still a little bit off, but the sizes for this are not great. Also just have to note that this is definitely not a size inclusive pattern. The sizes 1 through 8 are intended to fit a real bust circumference of 31 inches up to 48 inches. So definitely not size inclusive. But like the difference in stitch count between like each of the sizes is like pretty big. Like I don't get it. The pattern, you know, it's got these like eyelet details in the pattern. It's only a 2-stitch repeat, so like I feel like this could easily be graded to multiple larger sizes. I think probably the issue with the pattern is the row gauge, and the fact that they didn't change the row gauge for any of the sizes, like that could potentially be like why it's not graded to larger sizes. So anyways, I'm feeling better about this. I think I'm going to cast on the back panel and get started. We'll see what happens. If it completely messes up, then you'll be along for the ride, and then eventually I'll just go get the right yarn at some point. I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So in the interest of not making this video 2 hours long, this is where I'm gonna leave you today. There will be at least one more video, if not 2 more videos, to see how I knit up the Ingrid top and to see me actually wearing it on my camping trip. So I hope you'll stick around and come back to watch those videos when they're ready. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch one of my very first vlogs. If you enjoyed it, please hit that subscribe button and leave a comment down below. I hope you were able to get some knitting time in, and I will leave you with a little bit of a spoiler for what you can expect on the next episode in this series. Okay, bye! Alright, I've got to cast on like 80 plus stitches here, so I'm doing some more math on the floor.